Have you ever seen someone in your family suddenly do something so unusual, so out of character, that it made you stop and wonder, what are they hiding? Because that's exactly what happened here. What would you think if a young man who never liked chores, who avoided even cleaning his own room, suddenly began scrubbing public bathrooms every single morning, without missing a day? And not just cleaning, but locking the door behind him, refusing help, almost guarding the place like there was something inside he didn't want anyone else to see. And here's the unsettling part. His family started noticing patterns, quiet whispers on the phone, long disappearances, and that strange uneasy tension you feel when someone is carrying a secret too heavy to talk about. But the real question is this: why would someone choose bathrooms, the one place no one wants to be in, to hide a truth so powerful it would soon shake his entire family? And what if the smallest detail everyone ignored was the very clue that would later make their hearts stop? At first his family thought it was a joke, just a phase, maybe a dare, or some strange new habit he'd eventually drop. But when he began waking up earlier than everyone else, quietly slipping out before sunrise, heading straight to the community center bathrooms with a look on his face that almost felt like fear mixed with determination, that's when they knew something wasn't right. His mother, who had lived long enough to recognize the difference between ordinary behavior and a silent cry for help, sensed something deeper, something he didn't want anyone to know. Because people don't just change routines overnight, not without a reason. And when she tried to casually ask him why he was doing it, he froze, smiled a little too quickly, and changed the subject, almost as if the truth would break something if he said it out loud. But here's where the real hook comes in. The bathrooms he chose weren't just any bathrooms. They were the oldest, quietest ones, the ones hardly anyone visited. And every time someone tried to enter while he was cleaning, he'd rush out, blocking the doorway, insisting, "Just give me a minute." A minute for what? What was he protecting? And why did he look terrified whenever anyone came too close? The strangest part was still ahead, because the reason he picked that particular bathroom was about to turn this simple daily routine into a mystery no one in the family was prepared to unravel. Days turned into weeks, and what started as a strange habit slowly grew into something unnerving, because the more his family watched him, the more they realized he wasn't just cleaning, he was hiding. His hands would shake when he carried the cleaning supplies. His eyes constantly darted toward the hallway, as if he expected someone or something to show up at any moment. Even his father noticed the small things, the way the boy would come home quietly, slipping to his room without a word, his clothes smelling like old tiles and disinfectant, his shoulders heavy with a burden he wasn't ready to share. And for seniors who've seen decades of life, you know that instinct, that unsettling feeling when you sense a storm coming long before the clouds appear. His mother felt it too. She kept replaying small details in her mind, the quick phone calls that stopped the moment she stepped into the room, the long pauses when she asked him simple questions, the strange guilt in his eyes whenever someone mentioned the community center. It was as if he wasn't cleaning bathrooms, he was guarding a memory, or protecting a person, or hiding a truth he was terrified might come out if anyone looked too closely. And yet, every time they tried to talk to him, he'd give that same tight smile, too polite, too controlled, too forced, like someone desperately holding a door shut while something pushed from the other side. But the real fear crept in. The night his mother noticed his shoes covered in mud. The exact kind of mud found only behind the old bathroom building. Why was he going back there? What was he doing alone in the dark? And why did he look like he'd been crying? The next morning his mother finally decided she couldn't ignore it any longer. Too many signs were pointing in the same direction: his secrecy, his anxiety, The late-night trips, the locked doors, the excuses that didn't match his trembling hands. And that's when she noticed something she had somehow missed before. He always cleaned the same bathroom. Not the busy ones, not the newer ones, just that old, dimly lit stall at the end of the hallway, the one most people avoided. A place too quiet, too forgotten. And that's when the patterns came into focus. He always arrived before anyone else. He always brought an extra bag, one he never let anyone touch. And whenever someone knocked on the bathroom door, his voice would shake as he shouted, "Just a minute!" Too quickly, too urgently, almost like a warning. But here's the part that made his mother's heart skip. Every single time he came out, he closed the door behind him slowly, almost protectively, as if he wasn't cleaning what was inside, but guarding it. And then it happened, the moment that shattered her last bit of doubt. She went to drop off his lunch at the center, but he wasn't there. So she followed the faint sound of scraping and found him crouched behind the old bathroom building, digging through the ground, as if searching for something buried long ago. His face was pale, his hands were shaking, and the look in his eyes, fear, desperation, and something else told her she had just stepped into the middle of a secret that wasn't meant to be discovered. The hook? When he finally saw her standing there, he froze completely, like someone who had been caught protecting a truth so fragile, exposing it could break everything. Her heart pounded as she watched him freeze, clutching the bag and the scrubbing brush like they were lifelines to a secret world only he knew. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating, as though the ground itself was holding its breath. And then came the quietest, most chilling detail. He wasn't just moving cleaning supplies around. He was carefully lifting something out of the shadows, something small, fragile, and unmistakably personal. And here's the hook that made her stomach twist. She realized this wasn't about dirt, or tiles, or any ordinary bathroom chore. This was about someone he deeply cared for, someone who could never repay him, yet had shaped his entire childhood in ways she hadn't known. Every instinct she had screamed to stop him, to pull him away, to demand answers, but her feet wouldn't move. She had to see it through. And just when she thought she was about to witness a simple act of kindness, her eyes caught the faintest glimmer of something tucked inside the corner, a photograph, worn and faded, a note with a handwriting that sent a shiver down her spine, and a secret that had been buried long before she or anyone else in the family had even imagined. She realized then the truth behind these bathroom trips wasn't just surprising, it was life-altering, and the twist that would leave everyone speechless was just seconds away. And then he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper, trembling with fear and devotion all at once. He had been cleaning the bathrooms for weeks, not out of punishment, boredom, or rebellion, but for an elderly man who had once cared for him as a child, a man now too frail to work and struggling to make ends meet. That man had been his mentor, a quiet guardian during some of the hardest days of his youth, and when illness left him unable to continue his janitorial job, the young man had made a promise to keep the place clean, to protect the man's dignity, and to honor the countless small acts of kindness he had received long ago. Every scrub of the floor, every polish of the sink, every locked door was a tribute, a secret mission to repay a debt of gratitude no one else could even see. His family stood frozen, hearts pounding, realizing that the strange, secretive behavior they had feared and questioned was actually a profound act of loyalty and love. It wasn't just a bathroom he was cleaning, it was a life he was honoring. And in that moment, the tension, the fear, the confusion, and the curiosity all transformed into awe, tears, and an understanding that some acts of kindness are so quiet, so hidden, that they only reveal their full power when someone finally looks close enough to notice. As they watched him finally relax, The family couldn't help but feel a wave of emotions, pride, awe, and a quiet realization that sometimes the greatest lessons come from the smallest, most unexpected acts. Seniors know this feeling well. The people we care for, the promises we make, the kindness we receive quietly throughout life, these are the moments that linger in the heart long after the world has moved on. They remembered their own mentors, neighbors, and loved ones whose sacrifices were never recognized, and suddenly the story of one young man cleaning a bathroom became a mirror for their own memories of devotion, loyalty, and gratitude. The fear they had felt of secrets, misunderstandings, and unspoken burdens shifted into a profound appreciation for the quiet courage that often goes unnoticed. It reminded them that love and respect aren't always shouted from rooftops. They are often whispered in actions, in small, deliberate choices that leave a ripple far larger than anyone could imagine. And the lingering thought that stayed with everyone in that room was this: what small hidden acts in our own lives might one day tell the story of who we really are and the love we've quietly carried all along? But just when the family thought they had seen the full story, life had one more twist waiting. The elderly man, now slowly recovering, returned to the center, but what happened next left everyone speechless. The young man's secret mission, meant only for gratitude and care, sparked a chain of events that no one could have predicted. Lessons about forgiveness, unexpected reunions, and a truth about human kindness that even the most seasoned hearts might struggle to comprehend. And it begs the question for anyone listening: how many unseen acts of love and courage are happening around you every day, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered? What might you uncover if you paid closer attention, if you followed a small mystery that seems meaningless at first but carries a story far deeper than anyone could imagine? The story ends here, but the questions, the suspense, and the quiet wonder of life's hidden kindness linger, calling you to notice the secrets waiting quietly just beyond the surface.